Do the agenda? We have to do that now. That's what you're on. Isn't it nice? You like it?
That was beautiful. You did a great job.
Well, Jamie.
You guys did a great job.
Good.
Well, I believe as of last week's newspaper, nobody's run to file for, or nobody's filed to run for the 2 seats.
Ryan's not refiled?
Nope.
Not as of last Wednesday,
Friday.
Seems a lot earlier than in the past.
It does seem really.
Yeah, I mean, because I felt like, because we don't have to hold a primary.
Well, that's what, this, right? Yeah,
Well, I mean,
and so what Tara said, if they're a Republican and Democrat, they have to go through this way, but if there's somebody else, they could do something else.
Only one, if like, the only Republicans file, then they only have to deal with it in the primary, not the general.
right.
But if both.
Right,
Then they have to do
but
it.
then she said libertarian.
Yeah, they'll have, if no libertarian files and no Democrat files, they have until, it's like midway through the
That's
year.
what I was thinking, yeah.
July or something, they
Yeah.
can slate candidates.
I'm liking the bow tie.
There's the bird reading shoes.
Donnie's here too, I think he will send me more box. I can recover it. Totally released,
Not bad.
6 weeks.
Terrible.
Oh. Keith?
Oh,
Look at this.
I'm touching.
What was an ability?
It worked.
There's one.
We're now coming.
Just like Richmond.
Yes, yeah, we're coming, we're coming, folks.
Or it's leaving.
Chris, you reading on the railroads?
They're supposed to meet with me tomorrow morning.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's in the center line. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I don't know. We'll get anything resolved with.
Is this just normal Southern or is this the FRA too, the Federal Railroad or?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the three of us together.
They're coming on site to look at it or just on the, like Zoom?
I think it's just
Little progress, or at least it's communication.
communication.
John, you heard everything back from BS Engineering?
No, I think I copied you guys. I just told them how what our position was, and I never heard anything, so.
Well, how are you? Good, how are you? Question.
How often are they having to collect? Is this like a week's worth or is this the wipes of
I
the?
believe that's like a week's worth right there. I mean, it's Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
That's not down there. I think they would say
Does
that.
that look like sweet ones?
Yeah, I think that's what she said when I was there.
It makes me like gag when I look at that picture. I mean, it's foul.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Okay.
That's. Like when you go to the post office, the guy goes, no place I'd rather be. I'm like, really?
That is, well.
Oh.
Yes.
Possibly because he would be sometimes.
Yeah, that's fine. Sure.
Okay,
Just still can see what you're thinking.
all right. Yeah, that sounds good. History plus contact. There was
The money.
Well, I've been thinking more about that since you know, in 2032, I have.
Right.
Quincy, I can't even say it, Quincy.
Yeah.
Generic.
Stay too good.
Whatever, too good, yeah. Okay.
And then, are you in a week?
Yeah,
Just call him.
yeah, just call. I've got a meeting tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon will be fine, Wednesday morning, I think. Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's from the same. How are you gonna, I just get it wrong.
So,
I mean, but what did you do?
this already secure.
Okay.
So I don't want to.
Oh, I think it's.
No. I see, I see, we can't secure it, no, we're
I did
running,
ask. What did you?
our electric rates are locked,
Yeah.
but not myself. That's it, that's that extra capacity that they charge.
So we did this, we attempted to secure it.
Yeah.
We did not get it secured.
That's another one, that the contract was never there. There was never the units to sell us.
And now there is.
Somebody's come up with the extra.
Imagine that.
It's not crazy. But remember, in summer, we paid over $600. So 254 is better than 600. Of course, we're only paying 92 now, I think. Yeah, it says on that one sheet, it says like the seasonal summer, fall. Yeah.
And those are just speculations still, right? That's just speculation. That's not.
What we're paying right now was the auction results for year 2025, 26, which is over in May.
So how does- So are we in the winter or are we in the spring?
right now we're in the winter.
So we're in the real low number right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, she,
so basically someone we didn't make anything off of elected because it's so much.
All meeting in order, if you would please stand and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I had a chance to review the minutes for January 5th council meeting and the January 12th work session.
Needs to approve those.
And properly moved and seconded that we approve both January 5th council meeting and January 12th work session. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Public comments. We have Heart of Hagerstown. Gary?
Pretty much low key this month, trying to get our year started again, get our membership campaign going back out to the businesses of Hagerstown. And planning our yearly events, so really not much of anything to report.
Any other public comments? Only one thing under council action, we have, Donnie has the resolution number 3, 2026. This is for the edit loan for Anton Payne.
Anybody find answers to the questions from the work session? Credit reports. Liens on properties, all that stuff was act, work session, I was hoping to have answers for that,
We decided to waive it.
but can we do it?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
we can.
So we can pull the credit reports.
Sure, you could pull a credit report and you could place a lien on property as security. That would just all have to be negotiated, you know, with the.
Sure.
With the person.
So no, there, I mean, you were thinking that we weren't allowed to do that.
Wasn't for sure, but,
Yeah, no, there was a question whether.
but that was answered, yes.
So that is the answer to the affirmative, and then there's also to check the credit worthiness of the client, of the participant, right?
Sure. And the way the applicant is actually the LLC. Anton Payne LLC, and I checked the LLC, it is in good standing. I think I included with that because I wasn't clear. A lot of times people will ask for an unconditional guarantee of the person behind the LLC to sign off. And I did not know if you guys had discussed that, but that way, it looked like his LLC has been in place since I want to say 2014. It's on the Secretary of State's website. So it's not new. A lot of times if people, particularly with a new LLC, they'll ask for a personal guarantee so that you can go after personal assets if something goes wrong. But again, that's, you know, you guys aren't a traditional bank or anything by any stretch. So that's really up to you all on what you want to do and what you talked about.
So we can come up with some sort of.
Sure, you can,
right?
right. You could come up with a policy, you can,
Guidelines or something,
right?
things that we want met, boxes checked before this money.
Right, you know, if it's a certain amount, you want such, such and such security, whether it's personal guarantee or a loan against, a residence or something, so that you have something in your hand if you want to do that.
So moving forward, I guess this loan's going, we've already approved it. Without any of this in place, if a loan goes bad and there's a default situation, is the town still wide open? I mean, we don't have any recourse because it wasn't in this loan application or process that we're
Well-
signing off on. We cannot go, hey, wait a minute, we're gonna go file a lien because whatever venture went belly up.
So if the loan were to go bad, it's with the LLC. So the first step obviously would be to ask for payment, but then if that doesn't work and we pursued filing a judgment, filing a complaint, and then assuming that we got a judgment in court, then that
Go to
judgment
the
would
LLC.
attach to any property that the LLC has, which may or may not be anything, but you would be able to collect bank accounts or anything based with that judgment. That's why a lot of times with more traditional lenders, you would ask for a personal guarantee so that If the LLC were to default and not have any assets, then you could go after Mr. Payne, and if he had an income, you could attach and garnish the
Right, if
credit.
there's nothing in this LLC, we can't,
If there's nothing in the LLC,
we're
then,
just,
right,
we just
that's,
fall.
that encourages entrepreneurship. Because people form an LLC or corporation, and then if something goes wrong.
Yeah, I get that part
Right,
of it.
I understand, yeah, that's the,
But I
that's,
think when we're shipping hundreds of thousands of dollars out of this building into businesses, and we're just shipping it out, man. We're not checking credit worthiness. We're not doing anything.
So in this loan, is there any security or
No.
anything at all?
no, that was the email from Julie, was that was the decision in the work session. So there is no security in the resolution, other than I did attach the personal guarantee. But I wasn't sure what you guys had discussed or decided in that work session.
That is in there. The personal guarantee is in there.
Right.
I don't know, knew the personal guarantee was a thing at that point.
I know, we're pushing money out the door and don't know what we're doing.
I mean, is there any reason that we have to go forward with this today? Is there any reason why we couldn't wait?
Well,
Sounds like there's some bigger conversations that need to be had too before.
let's have them. We're here. My thing is not against the person applying for this loan. It's about our process in which we are shipping hundreds of thousands of dollars out the door of taxpayer money.
Yes.
For worthy ventures, what it's opinionated, if all the boxes are checked, we're shoving this money out the door with no due diligence whatsoever.
That's exactly where I stand.
And I'm not trying to renege on this loan process, because I'm sure that they're in the it's okay. But man, we're hanging ourselves out to dry for this.
Moving forward, we definitely need to have a process.
Well, all of our money, most of our money's out now.
Yeah, there's not much left. I know,
No.
but
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we say going forward, we don't have to pass this, correct?
It's already been
Been
voted
approved.
on.
it was voted on at the.
Yeah.
At
But I
the,
thought the vote at the,
It was legal.
it was advertised and it was open to the public. We had members of the public here.
So what I'm bringing up is for conversation, and we have got to seriously look at what we're doing.
So my recommendation is, I don't know, way back when, I don't know, I don't even know when the first loan was done. It was before I even come on town council. So it's been way back when. There was a procedure and a form that was put together. They filled that out and did it. What I'm hearing is no longer is that form relative to what we want to go forward on. So we need to look at the process that they have to go through on that form. And my recommendation would be just to upgrade or change or modify that form to include
And
the things that you want.
hats off to you for putting that in there, because that is some protection.
Right, and that's, like I said, I don't know what you guys have decided, I don't want to throw him a curveball, but that's pretty common with,
So if
loans of this type.
that is different than what we discussed here with him, so he needs to make sure that that's still what he wants to do with that.
And we can take that out, see, that's just a slip of, the last sheet of paper is the unconditional guarantee, so.
I know at the meeting, the work session, Donnie kind of compared us to a bank, a loaning institution, or, lending institution, which the town is not, but, we're lending out this money, this taxpayer dollars. And Donnie made the comment, you're not gonna go to a bank and just say, here, I want this, and they're just gonna give it to you. So, we need to have some sort of a process if we're gonna continue to do this.
And the fact that I didn't realize either until I think Ryan or Julie pointed out that we have reached a point in time where this money
It's gonna
is
go
whatever we have is what we got.
Yeah.
It's not going to continue. We're not going to receive a funding stream for that. So whatever we've got laying out here is all we're going to have moving forward, supposedly.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what we're planning on. At some point in time, we've got to find a way to protect that. I'm not trying to make it more difficult, because I understand what this is for. It is for to encourage and to bolster our local businesses. And yes, but at some point in time, you just can't walk in and say, hey, I'm a good dude, check a few boxes and walk out with a couple $100,000. Who does that?
I think that procedure with that form that we have they fill out, I think that would be very easy to modify that to add these things that you want on there. Okay.
Looks like it was revised 2/26/03. That was when the original form was created, so it's over.
22 years ago.
As I say, longer than I've.
Hey, it's a good program. It's okay. Like I said, I'm glad people take advantage of it. So far, we've not gotten burnt. What's concerning is the funding stream that feeds that fund is now diminishing, or there's a sunset to it at some point in time. And that's it. That's all we got. And we've got the majority of it out. Which is good, right? That's what we use it for. I mean, that's what it's for. It's better than just sitting there and not being utilized, so it should be used. I don't think it needs to be overly taxing, but we've got to have some procedure there to protect ourselves. And if it's the personal guarantee, or if it's attachment to a piece of property, attachment to equipment that the money was used to purchase, then we need to make sure that stuff is done. This, I think, is water under the bridge, where it's been voted on and approved, but that was eye-opening.
The other thing that I would recommend from this conversation is that there was always just a group that evaluated the application and went through the application. So from that, how it's always been done in the past, that there always was just a recommendation to accept, deny, or no recommendation at all from that committee. Since there's been so many questions come up this time, I would recommend that committee go away and it just become the full town council and Julie, the treasurer, that will just be on that. And then everybody's on it from the very front. And I think you'll feel more comfortable if you just get into the front of the process. So that'll just have to be a session away from town council, whatever type of meeting that has to be.
And an ordinance drafted to make sure does it require an ordinance to set out the guidelines for this application?
So,
No, I wouldn't think of, no, you could put your application together and then you could have some sort of framework, and it's up to you all how tight or how loose you want to be, but to say if credit score is X and we think the risk is this, and if these things happen, we want a personal guarantee. If these things happen, we want a personal guarantee plus, some other security or something, but it's going to be a case by case basis because every situation will be different.
And there's no guarantee, even with all those things in place, that we're gonna get our money back.
That's right.
We're just shipping this money out with nothing in
Right.
place.
Right.
And that was, that was disturbing.
Yeah.
And then when I found out that we've already, we're getting close to maxing out how much money we got, and the funding stream's now limited. And one of these loans goes bad, we've just now hurt future business opportunities for future new businesses to take advantage of this.
Now, we did have one since I've been involved that we took security on the equipment.
Yes.
So we got a
And then
precedent there, but yeah.
Like we talked about at 3 o'clock in the morning, that equipment can leave.
That's right. And
So,
you and I don't want to take the town pickup truck over and collect the equipment and
yeah,
scrap it for pennies on the dollar. So,
exactly.
but it is better than nothing, and you got something that says you got something in the file.
That's where I think, yes. Right. I think. That's just my thought process. Once again, I'm not trying to back out of what we already done. I just think. It's almost too late. We need to be moving forward, because hopefully we won't get burnt on any of the things that we got out. And this money gets replenished and we move forward and it encourages more business.
So Julie, the payments that you get every month on the existing loan, does that go back into that same fund, or does it go someplace else? Okay.
And so is there a process if a payment's missed or late or in one of them? I know, but what is the process? So let's just pretend one of them is 3 months late now. Where are we stand? We have a process, we have guidelines on.
we would probably call them after they get some.
Yeah. Not.
Okay, call them and then what?
Well,
So the term of the note talks about a default, and it says that the interest rate will jump, and this one would go from 3% to 8% when it's in default. So there is some mechanism there, but as far as a first step, that, you know, that's
That's
not.
definition of default would be.
Should be in the. Should be some term within the promissory note, but essentially, if they miss a payment, they're in default.
Okay, so just one payment.
Right, right, that would constitute a default.
Upon the default of any monthly installment provided for herein or any part thereof, and upon the continuance of any such default for a period of 30 days, the entire unpaid principal of this note and interest at the option of the holder hereof thereupon immediately becomes due and payable without notice, and said indebtedness may be collected from the undersigned jointly and severely.
Separately, if there's two defaults, yes.
Sounds like a bunch of attorney words.
Yeah.
So you got 30 days and you can go get all of it. That's the plain English. You can declare it all due, yes. So, yeah, they're in default 30 days.
It's way understood.
If somebody misses a payment, they probably don't have balance. So,
Right.
just, like I said, that, we need to do something.
so the other thing, just for clarification. If you look at that fund number, because you can look at it, it wouldn't be empty like, like we're out of funds alone. The thing that I brought up that we need to remind ourselves, and you need to record in your minds, is that the fire engine payment comes from this fund. So you're talking about defaulting, so I'm assuming you don't want to default on that. So because of that, we have to keep that much funds in the account so that we can make sure that we make good on our loans on the fire engine. Okay, so that has probably, in all honesty, that has probably pulled as much money out of it as our loans have pulled out of it. So, one of your biggest investments out of that has probably been in your fire engine, more so than your loans on economic development or equivalent to.
So I didn't know that the fire engine came out of that account. So if this money leaves and then some point within the next couple of years, that money stops, are we going to continue to have enough money to pay for the fire engine as well?
So that loan's over in 23rd
As I said, we're happy, yeah, we should be
Yeah.
halfway over halfway, right?
year.
So we have to retain enough money in this
And
edit
it's
fund
36,000.
to pay off, make the payments of X number of dollars.
For 4 years.
So we don't want to loan that particular number. So
That's
And
what
we
I'm
said, yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, we said that we've run out of funds. I want to clarify that. If you look at the line, we've not run out of funds. Okay, there's funds there. But the funds are intentionally left there.
yes,
For the
They're-
fire.
they're allocated.
Yeah,
So-
for the fire truck.
So once this money is out of there, and let's say worst case scenario, none of the EDC loans get paid, will we still have enough to pay for the
Yes.
fire truck for the next 4 years?
Yes.
yeah, that was the purpose of reducing the amount of money that we ship out.
Well,
In
the
the future.
EDC money comes in through 27 or through 28, 26. I know it comes through 27. Okay, I'm going to make that statement. So from 27 on, you would only have 3 more payments. And if we didn't loan anymore, what comes in over the next 3 years and what is there and what's coming back in? Yes, you won't.
Is
default.
enough to pay.
Yes, you'll be covered.
And that's why,
I didn't know if that
that's
was
why,
specific.
the amount of money that we have available to loan, we are self-restricting how
Mhm.
much more money goes.
Because the balance in fire trucks kind of like earmarked and.
Yes, it's allocated.
Yeah.
It's out. So, we have plenty of time, like Donnie and I discussed on telephone, and I think we should, 2003. We have plenty of time to evaluate the process, how you want to change it. And if you want it to be full town council, which I think would probably be the best way to do it. So we have plenty of time to do that before we would have to address another loan, probably. So, like I said, that would be my recommendation, is just You know, we can't blame the person that has applied because they filled out the application. So we just need to change the application to where everybody's comfortable with
Yeah,
it.
and I want to make that clear. That was not a slam on this loan. But it was an eye-opening experience for me, and I think a couple other people too, about how this process is. It's amazing that we have that much money just free flowing out of here with a few check boxes. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it is. It's just a few check boxes and whether or not somebody thinks it's a good person. We let the loan go. That to me is risky. I think it's accountable. We've got to find a way to be accountable. I'm not saying we'd ever recover the amount of money that we ship out of here, but if we don't have anything in place, we're not doing our part.
While we're on the subject of the edit money, we didn't get our full amount for January. Or, I don't know. So I sent, because they, you know, they submit a report every month for January, and I'm like, it was only 4,400. I'm like,
And what is it usually?
it's supposed to be 8,900.
Hmm.
So I sent an email to 2 different people. I haven't heard. But it's
Is that
been like a
from the county or
week.
the city?
It's from the county. It's from that bullshit. But anyway,
The auditor.
huh?
The auditor.
Yeah.
He might have mistaken that we were still in the 50-50 deal.
Well, it's only been like a week and a half, so I'm getting the out there. We need our money.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So is that, with that, does that jeopardize this? We're not getting our money?
Well, hopefully it's just this 1 month.
No, this loan,
I
we
mean,
have the
We
money.
got the money for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's plenty.
So do we need to do anything with this resolution then?
So I would do a belt and suspenders approach. I would pass it in this meeting, and I think you want to clarify whether or not you're gonna require the personal guarantee to be signed as well. Because I don't, like I said, I wasn't here at the work session, so I don't know how you guys feel about that, so.
I like it. But I don't know if it's the right thing to do to somebody that wasn't one of the boxes that he was asking.
But that's my,
I mean, I like it that it's in there, but I don't know. You know, that's kind of
Yeah, because that's not really the terms that was agreed to at the time.
not playing fair.
I believe we need to stick with our terms.
Kind of do too.
So our word is good. I'm not. I think you'll be fine. Okay. We never know what the future will bring, but.
Well, I think we approved that as we passed it, as the way they applied, like Brian said. We put it out there. That's the way they applied for it. We approved it that way. Bad on us, but it's been approved. Just go with it.
and I agree with that, and I would suggest that anytime somebody applies for a loan as an LLC or corporation, I would lean toward doing the personal guarantee. Because that gives you at least an option, and it's a fairly easy option to collect. Because if you file suit against the LLC and the person, and then you can attach to personal assets. But I agree with you. I think if that's the commitment you made,
Yeah.
I would stick with that.
I have a hard time going back on that. I would move that we approve the resolution as originally presented without the personal guarantee amendment.
Second, it's kind of reverse order from the other meeting, but that's fine.
From properly moved and seconded to approve resolution number 3, 2026, as it stands with, as was discussed in the work session without the promissory note or guarantee attached. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
What do you have from your desk for us?
So obviously I worked on that resolution, but then shortly after our last meeting, I met with Chris. won't steal any of his thunder, but I asked him, he's got a meeting tomorrow with Norfolk Southern and the Federal Railroad Administration regarding the crossing. Chris, you want me to say anything about the bicentennial?
If you want to, go right ahead, yeah.
Okay, so we met and talked, and it was Chris's idea. He would like to set up a fund to start to save some money for the bicentennial in 2032. That way, there's some small amounts could be set aside over the next several years. I suggested to him, and you know, I can follow up, or Chris can, or someone else. You can ask that. You know, Henry County, we have a community foundation. And, you know, they can potentially play a role, and maybe you want to do maybe a matching grant where if the town contributes, I don't know, $10,000 a year over the next 6 years, that you could challenge the community to match that. And then maybe the foundation would put in some money as well as a nonprofit community thing. It may be, you know, tax deductible for people to make those donations over that time period. So there could be some options there. Don't know how you all feel about that. If you want anybody to make some phone calls and see what our options would be to set up a fund that people could donate, and then in 2032 you could have a good sized celebration or whatever amount. I said whatever amount you guys would want to do each year. You could do $5,000 a year. That'd be 30, and if you matched it, if the community did, it'd be $60,000 to have whatever kind of event you wanted to have.
So. Say we do that, we get 60 grand or whatever, and we don't use it, then what happens to that money that people donated into that? Where does it go? Does it stay in a fund? It's just a slush fund now that we can throw at different projects, or?
We could phrase it as a bicentennial or special events fund or something like that. It'd be something we could work with the foundation, but that it could stay and then, you know, potentially help out Marta Hagerstown or something else. Or maybe you keep it general and you just say, use the bicentennial as the mechanism to start driving some funds there, and just say, hey, look, we have this fund at the foundation. You can do that. And then the foundation, if you have a fund balance there, they'll invest it, and then you'll get a return on that investment, and they handle all that. So that would be an option. So I think the next step, if you're interested, would be to have somebody from the foundation come out and talk about it and see what you guys are thinking, and see if that's an option we want to pursue. But nothing necessarily needs to be done tonight, but just something to keep on your radar. Then we talked, I don't have an answer for him yet, but I know Chris indicated that he might be interested in trading the old bucket truck for a newer pickup for the cemetery and possibly a town hall pool car. So I'm working on figuring out some options there. What we can do to efficiently dispose of that and make it turn it into a more productive asset. So anything else?
I think that's good, yeah, thanks.
So I want to stop us there. So say what you want to do again there.
On this, so Chris might be a little better, but wanted to trade the old bucket truck for a newer pickup for the cemetery and possibly a town hall pool car. And he says, or we'd be better off selling it, just putting the money in the general fund and spending it that way. So either working a trade with a dealer, and then how do we value the bucket truck, make sure that it's fair to the taxpayers and all of that, versus just sell it outright, use the money and go buy.
But we do have a capital asset freeze for 2026.
Yeah,
Correct.
Correct.
and we have a pool car now, right?
We do, it's, yeah, questionable now.
But-
It's Hagerstown, Maryland.
You made it there a couple of years ago, didn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a medium-sized bucket truck. I mean, we have two medium-sized bucket trucks right now. We need to get rid of one of them, the older of the two. I think it's a 2002. And
So
I
as
was
long as,
basically asking him, since it was purchased out of electric, what can we do with it, you know, fund wise? Yeah.
I guess if what we're selling brings enough money in, it's an even swap. I don't know.
What do you value?
What would I value it at? Probably 13 to 15,000, somewhere like that. Maybe a little bit more, maybe max 19 or 20.
How bad is the cemetery truck and why? I mean,
It's a 2000, it's either a 9 or 10 Ford F-150, and it's pretty rough. I think to me, it's appearance wise, it runs, you know, appearance wise, it looks really bad.
And I know, you know, when you have that driving around people's gravestones, that they spent $5,000 or $10,000 on it, just image wise, doesn't look good for the community. Really, it's more of an image thing. I mean, it still drives, it can still get you around the cemetery.
So that's all they're using it for, is just drive around the cemetery?
Well, I mean, obviously to the town hall or the garage
Right.
around town, you know, just, yeah, primarily cemetery duties. You know.
And this is a pickup or bucket truck?
It's a pickup truck.
And I would say with our decision to freeze capital stuff, I'd say that if it's just an image thing, I would not be in favor of spending that kind of money right now.
And the other thing too is if the bucket truck is worth $19,000 now. Probably don't want to let it sit for a year if we're not
Exactly.
utilizing it, but
Yeah.
get rid of it and put the money back in the general fund.
Okay.
We don't have to spend it,
Yeah.
but when it comes time to I don't know how bad it is, maybe you slap some paint on it. I don't know. I've not seen it. And again, Chris, I don't know how bad it is, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not something.
I was just trying to consider options, yeah.
So Chris, are you comfortable then? You want to just sell the bucket truck and?
Put it back in the.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing.
I guess that's more recommendations I was trying to see from John, what are our legal options? as far
I
as
can explore that a little more if you want.
moving easy around from funds, you know what I mean, because I know.
Do you feel like we would be better off to sell it sooner than later?
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. And I think my reasoning is the cemetery is extremely, as we know, extremely limited on funds and where's money or anything going to come for the cemetery, you know, from, where's that going to come from? But yeah, if we put it back in the general, that's fine. Yep.
It's time to reexamine how the cemeteries ran.
That's all I have.
Liaison reports from departments, boards and commissions, start with Parks and Recreation.
No, they're gonna meet next Monday.
Police Department, Keith.
I emailed you guys my, call report for the month of January today. January, we had 188 calls through dispatch center. That was an increase of 50 from December. January was not only a busy month, but a rough month. We had a couple really bad calls, that the first responders participated in. A couple of them was first on scene, so, sometimes small towns, we forget that big, things that happen bad happen here also. But we're blessed with very good first responders. Want to commend street department, not only for excellent job they did during the snow, but also the water leak on Sunday. I was busy Sunday working the HPD Facebook social media account, dealing with all the people in town with questions, updates, etc. So they would relay that information to me, and I'd get it out there, respond through messages, etc. Just wanted to give them a attaboy for a great job on both of those. I placed 2025 yearly report in your guys' boxes for you to look over. I won't go through all that, but it was in there with all the information for you from 2025. And the only other thing I would say, I know we've talked about it in the past, not a lot we can do about it, but Recovery Works continues to be a nuisance and strain on resources, and everything they promised us before they moved in here wouldn't happens right now about 5 times a week. So is what it is though. But that's all I have.
Airport Board.
Items coming out either late this week or next week to test the wall around here. The last time they did was like 2 years ago, is that about it?
It sounds about right, yeah.
And we did not have a January meeting. We're off, next meeting is February 23rd.
Advisory Plan Commission.
Tom is doing some research on a new software. The system we have now, I guess, is fairly old, several years. Probably just as old as that checkbox paper. So he said he's gonna look at some new software, get a cost of that and bring that to the planning commission. I don't mean to put Tom on the spot, but I'm gonna let him explain. One of our ordinances that talks about some of our permits, it puts a cap at $500. So I'm gonna let him explain that if he doesn't mind. I think he'll explain it a little bit better than I could.
So in the ordinance on building permits, there's an appendix that lists costs of permits for various project types. And the very last entry in that appendix states that no matter what, the total cost for any combination of permits for one given project may not exceed $500. So whether you're building a 1,200 square foot house, your permits are going to be somewhere in the $80 to $150 range max. I've never, since I've been here, issued a permit that got real close to the $500 cap. But if there's projects in the future that are industrial or commercial projects, by the time you look at square footage, cost of construction, and you work the formula as the formulas are in the book, you're going to be well above $500. And it seems reasonable to me that a permit for a $3 million project shouldn't be capped at $500. And so if you could merely delete that last piece in the appendix, then that would take that problem away, or it would take away our inability to collect a decent amount of revenue on a larger project.
So when Tom brought this to us, one of my concerns was, I wouldn't want to delete that cap and then, a resident gets some, out of this world, permit price. I really wasn't a fan of that. But as he mentioned, he's never had one, that has exceeded that $500 mark. And it's more geared towards like your commercial projects that Tom's going to be putting in, or our building commissioner in general is going to be putting in a tremendous amount of time with the inspections and all the things that, go along with that. If it's capped at 500, it's a, several $100,000, project for, over $1 million project. The amount of time that Tom's going to put in there isn't going to touch that $500.
How much does it take to hit the cap?
Excuse me?
How much does it take to hit the cap based on
Their square footage, I don't have that information right in front of me. So if you're in the $600,000 range for a project and you did it by the square footage formula, you may be getting close to that 500 or wanting to be a little greater than that $500. I mean, you're looking at all the permits, improved education permit, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, general building permit. Right now, those are extremely low. Extremely low.
Are they comparable to other?
Not at all.
Any examples of that?
Not right off the top of my head, but I've got paperwork laying in the office that I could show you. And I'm actually working on possibly amending the structure of calculating those things. The state has passed a law that's effective 1/1 of this year, specifically for class 2 construction, which is essentially residential 1 and 2 family and townhome construction projects. Those don't go through the state like a class 1 project does. But the state is requiring online application processes for all municipalities, government units. So I have to get some information online that a customer can see on our town website that has the requirements, everything that needs to be submitted for a review, a plan review, and for evaluation and approval of the permit process. That has to be done, able to be done online exclusively. There's a time structure that when all of the required documents are submitted for a permit or plan review, I have 3 days to approve that. So there's some things that are already in law now. And looking at the structures, the fees, and the way that's all in our ordinance.
You're required to do that on every permit.
Class 2 construction,
It is class 2 as well.
single family, 2-family townhouse exclusively. So anyway, there's a lot going on, but if we just struck the last thing off of that appendix, that would be nice for future near-term projects. But there's going to be some other, changes, asked for.
By the state,
No, for us to be compliant
to the state.
for the law that the state's now put in place. But when we get into commercial projects, we just need to look at that whole thing, because looking at these different government units and seeing how they have their permit fees structured, we're missing out. We're just missing out. Trying to track per inspection costs. You just need to sit down with you. But for tonight, if you consider striking or repealing that particular clause, that'd be one step.
And by missing out, I just want to make sure that, and this is also what we talked about at the meeting as well, that it's not necessarily that we're looking to generate revenue, it's the amount of time that is being put in by not just you, but other members of the town when projects like these come forward, right?
Well, it's kind of all in the same basket.
Yeah. Right.
But we're not seeking funding stream by these permits. The way I understand permits are, it's not a funding stream, it is seeking compliance. So
It's a twofold. We need to be compliant with the state law that went into effect in January.
but seeking compliance from the builder. So it's not about collecting money from the builder.
Sure. We're ensuring that the customer is getting a safe and working structure by building codes and standards.
Right.
That's the whole point.
So we're seeking compliance. That's why those permits are issued. It's not to generate funds. So why would we want to increase that amount? I mean, you write a ticket. Every ticket you write, you lose money. By the time they pay your salary and it goes through 5 different hands and it goes through the process. Every ticket that gets written, it loses money, but we're still paying.
Right.
It's not a funding stream, right? So I guess I'm asking, why would we want to generate funds off this permit?
My thought process was the amount of time that's put in is, it's worth something.
We're paying it.
Yes.
You get a check. For the town, taxpayers, right? So why are we going to generate additional revenue through permits?
I guess do away with the permit money.
No, you keep, that's what I'm saying is,
Right.
I want to be compliant with the state, but I don't see why we need to elevate the cost of a permit, whether it's a $3 million project or whatever.
Does the state have like a permit schedule, the fee schedule, where, they recommend this much for that?
They leave that to the government unit entirely.
So these other municipalities that apparently are charging more for the permits, what do they do with that money,
Well, they probably keep their building department up to snuff.
So they are using it for funding then. So that becomes a funding stream.
I know this doesn't sound politically correct, but fees, tickets, permits, license, it's just all a fancy word for taxation on something. I mean, we like to change the names, but there's nothing free in the world. It all has to be paid for. Nothing's free, so it's got to be paid for. I'll reverse it the same way. I'm just going to reverse it. So I build a $400,000 home and I pay a $500 permit. And then I find out that somebody builds a $4 million project and they pay a $500 permit. And I say, why was that fair to me? why did you charge me 500 and they just spent 4 million and you charged them 500? What was fair to me on that?
Life's choices built a $300,000 house instead of a four. But
In comparison, when you look at numbers, in comparison, you won't be able to justify it because the percentages just won't go there. But, you know, I'm going to safely say that as long as I'm set on here, that we understood that we've never covered the cost of our building commissioner. I mean, it's never been covered. Okay. And plus he is in charge of the floodplain now too, but the fees for the permits was somewhat of a revenue stream that helped compensate some of that cost so that it doesn't go all against the taxpayer. I mean, if you don't pay any of it, then the taxpayer's got to pay all of it. And we got to figure out where we're going to get that tax money from for that position or any position. I mean, there's got to be, whether you call it a permit fee or whether you call it taxation, it's revenue. It's government. That's how the government creates revenue through fees, permits, license, taxation, and they love to do it. Continue education. It is nothing but a way to create dollars, right?
Yeah.
We and it keeps going up and they keep adding more hours so they can keep getting
Revenue and keep
Rev-
somebody employed and.
yeah. So it is, you know, I don't want to illusion anybody. I look at it as part of a revenue stream. It just is. That might not be a popular word to say, but
how many building permits are we collecting a year, average? Did you
Yeah.
do it the year?
I don't have that number off the top of my
you
head.
just had the sheet, you just gave it to us, don't you?
Well, I don't receive the money from building permits. So I don't track the money.
No, what he's asking is what you gave us, Tom. Do you have what you gave us that showed how many permit, you know, the different things?
I can do that.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm just wondering, you say we're losing out, well, how much? We do 20 permit a
How
month?
much, I don't know, but how many, I can find out.
Yeah.
Unless I go through each one and
Right.
itemize what the permit fee was with the receipt that I got from the office where they pay. I can't tell you how much.
I think we make the changes to be compliant for sure. That'll be nice.
Anyway, that was about it. For the plan commission.
So Tom, you're asking then for, that's a change to the ordinance, right? To strike that.
But just
It's an appendix.
It's an appendix.
It's not part, it's not really,
It's a schedule of fees.
Okay.
not really a part of the ordinance.
Yeah.
I've got a question. What would it have if instead of taking that out, you added a statement that limited the cap to just single family homes? So it wouldn't apply to the bigger projects, but the smaller ones, it would still keep that cap.
Well, if you go back to Brian's rationale, I like what you said. I mean, if you're gonna build a $1.5 million home, should you be restricted that you're never gonna pay more than $500? I mean, like I've issued permits for $300,000 worth of construction, and the permit fee package was like $356.
So the recommendation from the planning commission was to strike that, yes.
And so because it's a part of the schedule fee, then we wouldn't have to go through the process of,
I would make a motion to change it, and just have it on the record.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
What's the version?
To strike the $500 cap from the permit fees, but I don't know the exact number. Like the ordinance number, or whatever it is. Thanks, Tom.
would waste a lot of taxes. This would probably be pretty minute to the wastage.
Number 14, cumulative fees on the appendix.
Then this is on,
When John see that, so you see what
Yeah, so-
document we're looking at.
yeah, so this will be Appendix A, fee schedule for building code permits. And it would be under section 14 cumulative fees.
In our ordinance or?
I don't,
I don't know
I
what the-
don't think it's an ordinance, actually. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's part of the ordinance.
It's collected, not, it doesn't have to be an ordinance.
So, yeah, this reads as an appendix, but it's probably an appendix that's part of your codified ordinances. And then to Donnie's point, I think we may have to publish because we're changing a fee or a rate. So before the ordinance becomes effective, or before this change becomes effective, we may have to publish it in the paper. So I have to check on that. I think you could pass it tonight if you wanted, and if you wanted to suspend the rules and pass it on the first reading, I think you could do that, but it may be subject to publication.
Why don't we just wait until we know what.
So we can introduce it though tonight, could we? Because that would.
You could, if you want to do a first reading, you could just say that that's the proposal and first reading of the change of this appendix, and then that'll give me some time to check on it. And if you just, apparently you want to implement it, so we'll make sure we do that the right way. So.
I'll amend my motion and change it to what?
So first reading to change the appendix, Julie, of fee schedule and building code permits.
So this is a verbal first reading to a change of an ordinance, is that right?
Yeah, you can do that.
We can.
Yep. Because you can change it, you can modify it in any fashion on your
10
second.
years here, I'm still one.
Yeah.
So Tom, I have that, but you probably ought to email that to everybody on town council so they can understand what they're what they both verbally read.
Yeah, but I don't think we've got the verbiage right.
And I would be, Tom, would you be comfortable if we're evaluating it, you just wait until John gets back with us?
Why don't you just wait and get it in writing and do it right instead of.
Yes, all right.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
if we're gonna do
I
it.
think if Tom's right, we just go back to, we took town council, there.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
we'll let,
Yeah,
So withdraw the motion and we'll,
we'll withdraw motion and we're just gonna let.
the March meeting. I'll have something to you before then, so you can look at it.
So you have a chance to read it.
And what if you find something?
Well,
You said you're gonna look into it. I mean, if we,
Well, that's what, I mean, the first reading, in the first reading, if you wanted to have it in the record that you did something and that there's really no harm, no foul if we change something before the next meeting. But yeah, we can just do nothing and then we can nail it down and you can pass it, suspend the rules and pass it next month. So bottom line, you're gonna have something in place next month, just how you get there.
Anything further? Town manager.
All righty, we had yet another wastewater backup in a basement in Graceland Heights. We ran out there, checked the manhole, it was full of sewage water. There's blockage in the main line. We used the jetback truck, able to get that cleaned up. We interviewed and hired Banning Engineering to do a GIS locate for the town. That's going to be every manhole in the town. And it will be invert all the dimensions. So when you go into a manhole, is it 8 foot deep, 10 foot deep? What's the incoming line? What's the outgoing line? It will have all those elevations on that. So they're going to be starting on that here pretty soon. We are working on getting quotes for televising our sanitary lines. I had this one listed on the town manager report. We did have someone else call us back today, and so we're going to interview them and see price wise which one's going to give us the better deal. See for our water department, we have had some line freezing issues, or I shouldn't say we've had some residents that have had some line freezing issues around town. Faith Housing, they thought they had a frozen water line down there. It turned out that someone had shut off a valve in their utility room. And so the residents were without water for a couple days, better part of a week, I think.
Water department has also been assisting with snow plowing. We did have a large water main leak, as you're aware of, yesterday on North Pearl and West Harrison Street, although we did have some good news that occurred with that. I'm gonna let Bob Warner talk about the water line project and what we did yesterday.
Okay, so we talked about yesterday first, when the water line was shut down. Because of that, we talked about, well, we gotta do all these cutting caps to cut off the old lines to disconnect it from the new line. So while it was shut down, we got one of those done. So made lemonade from lemons, I guess, on that day. So that was good, but yeah, and it wasn't on the new line. I mean, the water leak was on the existing lines, so you know, that's where that was. But as far as then the rest of the new construction, they've got all of the services installed along Pearl, across Harrison, and one block on Washington. So there's still about 20 more services north on Washington to complete, get all the houses on the new lines. So there's that work to be done. They've been working on the booster stations, both of them. They've got the pads poured for the generators, and they've stripped some of the materials out of the booster stations, but they now need to go back in and put new pumps in and the other affiliated equipment. So that's their next step, and that should be starting here in the next couple of weeks to get back in there. They've had some issues with weather, so they haven't been able to work the last week or so, but they are moving forward. So and then once they get those other lines in, that's when we have to do the rest of the cut and caps, meaning disconnecting the old lines from the new. So we'll be back to shutting off water in certain locations and having boil advisories and so forth. So just make people aware of that, it's the only way to get the old lines cut off here. So that's going to be happening. And like I say, they're going to be installing, they have all the generators and the pumps at their shop in Losantville. They'll be bringing them down. As part of the bid package, there's 2 extra pumps, one for each pump house. So those will be stored out at our building out here, rest of the town, I assume, one of the buildings. So we will have backups, which is a good thing. And then, you know, once that's done, we'll move into paving and pouring the sidewalks back and all that. So we're still 2 to 3 months out. I mean, paving, you know, they don't do surface until about May. So that's when the final course will be put down.
Do the booster stations going offline, does that require, like, would that affect customers on that since we have to take the booster stations offline, put on the new pumps in that, or can they all do that in one just as a?
The east booster station, because the water tower on the other side of it, you know, there's not as many customers out there. So that one they should be able to take down and not affect anything, because there's a few days worth of water at least in that tower that can supply the east side. So they don't need to, I mean, it shouldn't take that long.
Right.
The high school, though, we will have to coordinate with the high school because they have to have the water, the booster pump running up there to have water.
Right.
I mean, unless
Yeah.
it's, you know, if there's like a boil order or something going on today where they can't use the water anyway.
Right.
No, we'll need to coordinate that somehow.
Right.
So Bob, I believe that maybe they had asked for us to give them an extension because, you know, they don't get done in a certain time period. There's losses that they can occur back to us for lost time. But since the permits weren't in place in time, I thought we said we was going to give them some leeway there. are we pretty well, is the target date of completion pretty well in the timeline that was set out with them in the contract? Are we close?
We're not, I mean, we're not going to make that target date, and actually, I just was having an email conversation with my client, Peter, that Okra has certain dates too, so he needs explanations to give to them, explaining what happened and why it is later than we thought.
Is any of the funding in jeopardy because of that from Okra?
He did not indicate that at all, and I don't think so. They just need to understand the reasons. So I need to get back into that and get him a letter and say, this is, you know, all the causes behind it, and this is our expected completion date now, and we'll move forward with that.
Is most of it, what they're not gonna get done is the resurfacing? Is that the problem?
Yeah, that's really the problem.
And I mean, we can't hold them against that since the plants are closed.
Right, I mean, the meter pits and all of that work, I mean, it should be done, I would hope toward the end of next month, they would have everything completed on the system, all people on the new system. I mean, well, they're almost all on it now, but all the old system taken off, you know, all that work should be done here in the next couple of months. I have to go back and look at exactly all the dates. I can't recite those off the top of my head here, but I'll have all of that, say, by next month to know exactly what the old dates were and everything.
So with that report, somebody asked you about our past architect,
Right.
okay? They're wanting us to pay for permits that they never did. That has caused us to be really behind in our project.
Right.
I think they need to understand that that's not being paid because we're going to determine how much damages could come back on them from this project.
And I think I emailed, and I thought I copied all of you, because
You
you said that.
did, but
Right.
so
And I've not heard anything since.
we haven't got a bill since.
Who,
VS Engineering,
that 2,900,
right, that's, yeah,
that's the only one.
So
because the permits, I believe, were $7,500, and
Right.
technically, we've already paid that. The 2,900 is another bucket owed to the same people, and we just said, hey, we're not gonna pay this until we figure out where we're at. So, and then, as I recall, when we sat down with Indiana Earthworks, I mean, they thought it might be a push to have everything done before the asphalt plants closed at, you know, November timeframe. So what we've then got to kind of figure out if we want to pursue this is what's our actual damage. I mean, obviously there's a delay, but how do we put a dollar figure on that? So that would be our next step.
Didn't we have a conversation about demanding the $7,500 that we did pay refunded to us because they didn't?
We can, I mean, we can certainly do that. And I mean, and technically we owe them 2,900 of that 7,500, I guess. So it's the difference. You know, we can certainly make that demand, but I don't want to make a demand until we know that that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're happy with that, I can, you know, say we'll not pursue anything else if you'll refund, you know, whatever that amount would be, but.
But, you know, from what I'm hearing from Bob is, you know, Okra's wanting to know why we're behind schedule, and that's kind of concerning.
Well, that's why I wanted to know if funding was injected
Yeah.
because of what the email that you said, what are the damages? Like, we had to come up with $25,000 to, because some funding got held back because we didn't meet certain deadlines, which I'm just shooting from the hip here. If that was something.
And then another question I would have is, you know, not so much loss of funding, but, you know, can they fine the town because, you know, we entered into a contractual agreement with them?
So I can talk to Mike Klein, Peter. When I talked to him before, I did not get the sense that any Okra money was in jeopardy or anything. I think they just want to know why it's not been drawn down and the bucket empty and we paid it out, because that's what we thought would happen. I think with the explanation, I think they'll be okay with that, but I don't know that.
All right, back to, electric department's been assisting the streets department with snow plowing, removing holiday decorations. thankfully, we've not had any power outages, any big power outages. I hate to even say that. Frontier is wanting to make several more pole attachments, and by several, I mean hundreds and hundreds more, a bunch more.
So did we get a contract signed by them what they're paying us?
We have not got a contract signed by them yet, and that's
Okay.
something that John and I have been working on.
So I don't think they should attach to any posts.
They're not they haven't been given permission to attach to anything yet,
So our agreement should not be a lump sum, it should be per pole.
which is how they,
Per pole per month.
Yeah, they'll say like 800 polls times, a monthly amount or a yearly amount.
Yeah.
Right, yep.
Are they the ones that have a hard time coming out fixing their poles?
Yeah.
But they're attaching to our poles.
I think, Chris, you did say that, of course, they want something from us, so they gave you a better number and they were a little more responsive.
Yeah,
Some of the things.
they are a little bit more responsive, and we also have, I've talked to RPNL about their agreements with Frontier, and so I have a copy of that actually too. So, yeah, we do have some good resources to, put our, I guess, proposal together.
So the amount of pole attachments, that's standard from when we had the meeting with Frontier the last time, when I was.
When we met with them last time, I think it was like 70 or 80. I'm still counting on the drawings
So
here.
they want to add more than what they said.
So it's,
Hey, Chris, do we have a contract with New Lisbon and Comcast and all that too?
Correct, we
So
do.
Frontier providing the same services, they're wanting attached to the same poles as their competitors are attached to, is that? Am I hearing
not
that?
necessarily the same poles, but
Well-
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Some of our poles, yeah.
Yeah.
Hagerstown owned poles.
Is any of those contracts that we have with Comcast or somebody else prohibit us from entering into an agreement with another competitor?
I
Say
don't
New
believe
Lisbon
so.
or,
I don't believe so. I do see what you're saying.
so like if
Wow, yeah.
Comcast is running a line across there and it happens to be a pole that Frontier wants to use, is there anything in the agreement with Comcast that says they're exclusive, I guess?
I don't recall ever seeing anything like that in our agreement or in the other agreements I've looked at. It's usually, it usually says what height they want their attachment to be at, like 25 foot above ground, or, that kind of thing. It will have a different height for the different utilities. So I've never seen that. That's a good question though. I can see where that could be the case on something, so.
And if you've got the others, I can take a look at it. Yeah, I'm not sure if they can make it exclusive because
Yeah, I
of
don't-
accent, but I
It's
need,
a
I
whole-
don't know the answer.
I guess if we agreed to it, there are poles.
It's just like mounting on top of water towers. Who are we gonna rent that out to?
Right.
Who are we gonna allow?
Right.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. The streets department, we have had, as Keith said, we have had a lot of compliments about our plowing and the salting of the streets this year. They've done a really good job considering the volume of snow we've had. Next open community crossings grant will be in July. I have already started getting estimates for that put together. Julie and I have a meeting with Henry Rod Insurance about our policy renewal. That's tedious, do you think?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, very tedious, so. As John stated, I have a meeting with Norfolk and Southern set up. I've mentioned this a couple times, and I'm gonna bring it up again tonight. Do we want to exchange our property at 51 South Perry Street for the vacant lot at 65 West Main Street? We've had the owners of 65 West Main Street ask us if that's something we're interested in doing.
Are we capable of doing that now?
We are capable of doing that now. We had a 5-year period where we had to maintain a green lot down on former Tri-County building lot.
So if we were to do that, what would we do with the property over here on Main Street?
I would really like to make it a small veterans memorial park. There's 2 walls there that I think if we get permission to put murals on those walls and then have a veterans memorial with like armed services flags and some monuments with the names of the people who served, I think it'd be a really neat little spot for that.
Does the 51 South Perry Street bring us any benefit at all?
We have to know it. Yeah.
And then do we know what they plan on doing with that property?
They said, I asked and they said absolutely nothing for right now.
And what do they want?
I think that they want to get rid of that one.
Oh. Yes. Why do they want to get rid of it?
Because they're gonna support state.
Yeah, no, I think it's just such a tiny lot, and I think at one time they did consider building on it, and they thought any kind of a building would be so tiny that
It's
it
just a little hole on Main,
Yeah.
outside Main Street.
yeah.
John, what would that require from our end to have that exchange take place?
Probably would need some sort of evaluation of both properties and make sure we're in the neighborhoods, so that'll, I need to add that to my list.
So we have to
Check
get
on that.
the typical two quotes, sorry, two appraisals. John?
Yes, I would,
Okay.
that would be my suggestion, but let me check on that since you're doing a swap.
Doing a swap,
Yeah.
rate change. Okay.
Right.
So then, would we have to pay for the two appraisals out of our pocket?
What if somebody wanted to buy that property? I guess I'm confused, not confused, it's just. What are we supposed to do with our property to dispose of it? Is it a swap? And then now
We could either, I guess since it's our property, we could either swap it, sell it, or just hang on to it indefinitely. We can do whatever we
we
want
can do
to.
with whatever we want. We don't have to sell.
No.
Was there ever any discussion about the town doing something with that lot where Tri-County used to?
I think the original discussion was, a parking lot area, to make it a viable parking lot. We really need to probably abandon that alley and push it to where cars would be able to park up against the building and up close to the house on either side to get the width, through there. I think I had said originally it'd be a good place for like, electric vehicle charging or something, so.
Which we would charge for.
That's right, yeah.
Fees, permits, licenses, right?
Not even plucking apples. But feature cat.
I mean, that's just something I brought up at meetings before. I didn't want to have any discussion about it or, just keep thinking about it and save it for another meeting.
I'd say for us to see how many appraisals.
See what we have to do.
See what we have to do first. That sounds like good advice. Okay. And then the last thing, and this just came in real late this afternoon. I did received a MISO capacity, offer for the planning year 26-27. We made them an offer back in October. It's not, obviously not as low as we wanted. It's just a matter if that's something that we want to lock or if we want to wait until the auction and see if it's better or way worse.
What have we done in the past?
What have we done in the past? In the past, we have, I would say, 3/4 of the time we've waited for the auction results, but we also haven't seen the volatility that we have in recent years.
Has the auction results been more favorable or?
In the past, the auction results have always been much more favorable. But that's not to say that that's the current climate, because right now we're looking at renewable energy, which is a whole different ballgame than when we were able to have full generated power.
So if we lock in at the rate that they're advising us, or
Suggest,
or
or offering, I
suggest,
think
yeah,
offerings are the way to put it.
that takes care of us from May of this year till May of next year, right?
Correct. It's either the end of May, I think it's technically June to June, but it's either May or June. Yeah, right in that time period. And then if you look at, I did a summary of our billings there, from 2015 to 2025. I mean, you can see where that's at. We've also, just also as a reminder, we did remove the $5 fee. We have 1,100 customers, so the $500 or the $5 fee is generating another 5,500 a month, which was reflected in that number that you're seeing there at the bottom. So when you take the two together, when you add those two together, it's a significant loss of revenue for the next year.
Only if we get a 666.
If we want to get that, yeah.
If it goes down to
If it
300,
goes down.
if it goes down to 300, then we have a significant increase.
If we float and go to the auction, yeah.
What's in the MISO line? What I call I know it's not the MISO line, but oh, kinda 150.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's,
And did we move some money?
yeah, we've moved several,
It
yeah.
hasn't, we haven't done it for a while.
I think we did it back in the spring.
It was one of our first things.
Yeah.
So, I understand what you're saying, Chris. So we had 2 months there where we had negative revenue. Our expenses were greater than our revenue.
Correct.
But we have a pretty good slush amount of money in that funds, in that fund. So it's not like the fund went negative. Plus, we've always hedged against this with the MISO line. So in this situation, if those 2 months, if that would have drawn the electric line in the budget down too low, and Julie said, I don't want it that low, she could have sent, that's 35,000, or just say 40,000. We could have moved 40,000 from the MISO line back into the electric line, and we make it all even. I mean, that's kind of the hedge fund that we have out there against these high numbers. That's why we did that.
So when we buy this, do we have to commit how much we're buying?
Oh, yeah.
It's for full years, for full plan, years, it's 12
Or
months.
whatever capacity that we would use during that
Correct,
top peak time
yes.
where we're buying capacity, that's the price we're gonna pay it.
Correct. Yeah, so if you see like our summer, peak capacity 5.3, that's what you multiply that out, falls 4.7, winter 5.0, spring 4.5 megawatts.
And that's if we purchase it right now or agree to purchase it.
Well,
advance.
it won't start until our spring number is still a good number.
Correct, yep.
So it just starts after whatever.
So we would be hit with a hard, sure, a hard summer bill, and then it would get better, or well, if it follows the same pattern as this year, yeah.
Well, if we lock in, it doesn't get any better, it doesn't get any worse.
It's like,
It gets locked in, it's just for planning purposes at that point.
Yeah.
For us, knowing
Yeah.
that
correct,
we're gonna pay this no matter what the
Yeah.
price is,
yeah,
we're paying this amount. It can be higher, be lower, but we've locked it in.
we're not taking that risk.
Typically, we come out ahead of the game by waiting for the auction.
In the past, when it was all coal and natural gas, we came out ahead, pretty much every time. I think there's one time that we didn't.
So Chris, when you look at the zone map that he shows us, just observation, I think these are all made up numbers. So anyhow, Chris knows I struggle with this.
Yeah.
It looks like to me that each year they pick a zone to stick it to. A year ago, it was out in St. Louis zone. They got the 666. Okay, what changed in St. Louis? Nothing changed. The plants didn't change. People didn't change. Last year, their summer rate went right back down, and our zone got hit with the 666. Okay, so are they going to give it to another zone this year, and we're going to go back down? I mean, see, this is what I can't make any sense.
Well, and how many times have they I feel like this is the third or fourth time that they have offered us
They
a
always
lock-in or a.
There are a lot. Okay, so here's what Vance would tell us. A lot of communities have not hedged with a fund. Okay, so they don't have a hedge fund. So they don't want to be at the mercy. So they would rather lock in for planning, know what it is, as far as take the risk, because they don't have, if it's bad, they don't have anything to back it up. Vance will tell you that we're way ahead of the game. A lot of communities should have done what we should have done, but they didn't. So, yeah, they will offer it to a lot of communities and a lot of communities take it. We're probably one of the few that don't jump on because we've always,
Yeah.
we've kind of hedged ourselves and took a chance. But like I said,
Is our hedge fund growing? Are we feeding that?
Yeah, we.
Okay.
we didn't feed it as much last year
Yeah.
because we got this
Because we
big,
got hit.
we got this big number. So I think we added 25,000 last year, but probably the electric fund can afford to hit it again if we so wanted. Well, so, when I ask them, I just try to use common sense. I guess there's no common sense in electricity. I guess that's what it is, but I just can't understand what changed in that zone last year. Did they build 50 solar fields in 1 year? I doubt it. They're only 50% effective anyhow. I really doubt if they shut it down any plants because they got them along the Mississippi River. So why shut them down? So I don't think they really shut down the plants. So I'm just saying, what happened in St. Louis? I mean, why do you sick them? I mean, they were $666 a year before. Last year they went down to 179 or. Come on, what changes? I didn't see droves of wagon trains leaving St. Louis last year going west. It'll be, somebody else will take it if we don't take it. That's what happened to the last one. Another community took it.
Yeah, he did tell us that we're one of the very few communities that will float and then wait for the results.
I think we can withstand the essential hit. Let's see what the auction brings in.
Year four.
We've hedged and we're.
Oh, Vance will tell you, we have, over the time, we have won.
We've done really well.
We've done really well by feeding our hedge line and taking a deal. Now, it's my understanding, and I'm not going to get real political, but it's my understanding that there has been a stop of shutting down fossil fuel plants right at the moment. They are not closing any down. They're not retiring any. They're all staying in place. The big thing that's creating this thing is all the AI. The AI is just gobbling up energy.
All the power consumption they have.
Yeah, so, we're all going to be really smart. The AI is going to tell us that we're living in the dark because we won't have no electricity to light our houses. That's what the AI, all it's got to do is, you're living in the dark. That's all it's got to know. Because it's going to chew it all up.
The thing that's so interesting about capacity is that it used to be such a small part of our bill. Well, Bob and I've had this conversation. When he was town manager, it wasn't even something that you even thought about because it was such a tiny little part of the bill that we didn't have this huge fluctuation or anything like that. Maximum, it might be $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and here we've had months where it's been 100,000. So, it's a huge difference.
So I guess then the consensus from the group is to hold and wait for the auction results.
I would say if we're going to do that, Julie, if you could bring us next month what our electric line looks like. So if we want to move some more money over to hedge against it.
Okay.
We can do that.
Then Chris, just to stay on pace with after the meeting that you have with Norfolk and the federal, if you could send out like just a quick email to us.
I sure will.
That way we keep the loop going with it. I'm sure that's been an issue that we wanted to stay on top of.
I do have a quick question for Chris. So I had the chance to go out to the water plant, which I strongly recommend you guys do that. That was probably, I don't know if crap can be cool, but it was really cool. It was really neat. One of the things that we did talk about was the catwalk that goes around that. I know that you had brought that to us. Maybe I was misunderstanding. I thought we were looking at like some prices of those and looking at purchasing something like that for.
We have, and I put that out to auction, and what happened is we got a price for materials, and then we got a second quote for materials and fabrication, but we never did get a price for materials, fabrication, and installation. And so, in discussions with Crystal and Matthias, they weren't too keen on the design of that walkway, and there might be some other ways that we can, handle that situation. I'm even wondering about like a retaining wall on either side of the structure and then kind of berming up around it. And then, I don't
That's
know,
a safety issue, correct?
Yeah,
it is a safety issue.
And we discussed that 7, 8 months ago, and we're still not dealing with that.
Well, we couldn't deal with it because we didn't have.
Nobody would put it
We can't
in.
get it.
We don't have.
Somebody's gonna wanna do it. I mean,
We put it out and we didn't get
We
anybody.
got a bid for materials, a bid for fabrication, but no bid for the complete package.
Nobody would-
Materials, fabrication.
You
and
better be
installation.
careful how hard you push because the numbers were.
yeah, I
numbers
know they
made-
were astronomical. is what they
Material
were.
fabrication is like
Yeah.
$170,000, I think was
But
what one of the
take-
bids came back at.
take a moment and, cause I know Donnie went out there. I don't know, did they show you what they have to do? Take a moment, go out there. I'm sorry, but there's not a dollar sign that changes my mind on that. I mean, what they have to do is unacceptable.
Yeah, I don't think we can put a price tag on the safety guard employees.
I can't. I get we put it out there. I just don't, a safety issue of that magnitude, because it is bad. I did go down there and look at it. There were several things. I was like, man, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And I went down there probably a couple of months ago, so it was a little short time after you brought that information back to us.
They have
So
to,
we just quit pursuing it, I guess.
I think we're trying to look at other options and maybe something that'd be a little bit more cost effective.
I'd get on it.
One thing that's sad about our wastewater treatment plant, I think when the original, from what I've been told, and Bob can correct me if I'm wrong, but the clarifiers were supposed to be in the ground, but the water table was so high that they had to build the clarifiers above ground, which the top of the clarifier, I think it's like 8'6" or 8'8". I can't really hardly touch the top of the clarifier from the ground. And so that does create that maintenance issue up around the top. But my thoughts would be that if there would be some way to build a retaining wall at either end and do an earth berm up and get that to where it's like 42 inches or something. So in other words, we'd be building a berm up 4 or 5 foot, somewhere around there. Then that would make it to where it would be more manageable.
because they have to go up on top of that and spray
Yeah,
it.
to go on top of that, it's like a,
So they're not just navigating, walking around, they're also navigating it with a
Right,
fire
with
hose.
Yeah,
correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
and they have to go all the way around that, right? They can't
And
just.
that's in the
stand.
summer, it's only in the summer months, but I mean, that's still bad. It's not saying it's not, it's, so right now they're not doing that in the
How
summer
long
months.
ago did we talk about that? I mean, honestly,
What a minute.
approximate, when we started talking about the
Probably
fabrication.
December.
Probably last spring.
Spring or summer, it's been within the last year, yeah. I will get on that and we'll pursue the other options. One thing I will say, Dylan, I mean, it's extremely well maintained down there. I mean,
Very
aside
much.
from that maintenance issue, it's
I was
very.
impressed with it. I mean, I really was. I had no idea it was.
Crystal keeps the lab immaculate down there and just
She runs a tight
everything.
ship.
It runs a tight ship, that's exactly right.
And it was, I mean, just really, really cool. It was neat to kind of see how all of that
And
works.
you probably saw the.
Well, that's what I was about
Yeah.
to. But if, I don't, if you want to pass it along to those in the room, we'd love to see it, but
Plenty of time.
so Crystal, I think that was, when I was down there, it's a week's worth of wet wipes that people are flushing down the toilets that are causing all sorts of different issues. I'm sure the media guy would love to have us. Your discretion may be advised. But I know Crystal said that is a huge issue. That's putting a lot of pressure on our wastewater treatment.
Chris, I know you put out the one call about that the other day. Can we put a note on the utility bills too? Okay.
Yeah, we did, and one thing, and I don't understand it, our utility bills, we're extremely limited to the number of characters that we can put on that, but. we have to-
Can we put an insert in with them without increasing the postage any?
The company mails that out.
We don't even mail them.
We don't know anymore. Okay.
I have a question that's not related to anything else, but a few weeks back or a few months back, we talked about somebody had slipped and fell out here. Question was asked and raised, was the cameras operating? And it was stated no. And I had asked the question, how long have they not been operating and are they operating today?
The cameras,
And who has access to those cameras? Who's in charge of that?
Keith and I are the only two that I know of. Yeah, we're the ones that have access.
So are they operating today? Are they recording today?
I had them come out again last week because I haven't been able to access it for a month, 2 months on my desktop. I was told that it's something to do with the system to allow us in on our end, but was ensured that it is recording and if it's needed, they can get to it.
I'd like to have proof.
But I haven't been able to access.
I need to have proof.
I mean, if you reach out to them, you'll see I've probably put 15 to 20 work tickets in to them about that.
Okay, and now that's the first time we've known that we're having a problem with the vendor. That's a problem. Like, I don't know what.
It's been a problem off and on.
Yeah.
And I think in this particular case here, I do believe the cameras were working, but due to the angle of it, if you look at the angle, it catches the box where the box is at, but
That,
it didn't catch the
yes,
steps.
that's correct.
So
On
we
that
have the video
deal,
from that day. Because when we asked the question before, we did.
well,
It's my understanding the cameras were operating at that time.
well, that's not how it was explained to me, is from what I was told, where the person fell and where our camera here is set up, the incident wasn't right here because the camera setup, it just gets the small area right here with the box. And my understanding was the person that fell was outside of that viewpoint.
But we don't know for sure if they're working because you can't access them.
Correct.
And you can't access them.
I haven't tried today.
And you've tried, you've got.
I try every day.
15 different work orders or whatever that number may be, and we have got no response from these folks.
They've been out a couple times, and what I've seen is they'll fix the link and it'll work good for another week, and then it'll go out again.
So on the date of that accident, whatever day it was, I want to see a video clip of that. Whether it shows it or not, I want to see if those cameras were working on that day. And I
We had
want
the
to see if
same
there's-
issue down at the water plant when we had the vehicle stolen.
Yeah, so I want to see a video clip for today.
Let's see if they can produce it.
Who is the vendor for that?
So
Request IT.
if they can't
How much
produce
is
it
it month for that?
and they're telling us it's recording, it does no good.
Well, how much are we paying for it?
They do it annually. I don't know.
Well, anyway, again, I'm not trying to, but, you know, we haven't heard back. And I was under the impression that they were not operable.
I believe that they were, but it was like Keith was saying, it was not, it didn't pick anything up. I think it picked for, the only thing it picked was like one frame of her shoving her bill.
I recall there was something was said that just a few minutes before she allegedly fell, that camera was turned off.
Went offline.
Yeah, went offline.
Now, I want to see a video of that day. I don't care if that shows the fall or not. I want to see a video of that day. And I want to see
And
what.
my concern is, we're paying for service that we're not getting. And because of the lack of reliability with that,
Yeah, I mean, if he's sitting back there telling me he can't access it, and he's tried 15 different times, he's reached out to him multiple times and got no response back. We probably should have known that, Keith, just saying, if email or something, she should have let us know.
but the failure of the camera angles or
Yeah.
whatever, they're wanting $22,000 in personal loss for that. So, that we need to address that, and if they can't provide the service we need, maybe we need to find another vendor.
So,
I got blink cameras.
so is the cameras that we have, I mean, Keith, I just heard you said that camera wasn't wide enough to cover the area that maybe we should have had, and then you had the same problem down at the treatment plant, wasn't it?
Well, the treatment plant was, the whole system was down, wasn't operational at the time of that incident. This incident here, the camera, there's only 2 cameras that are like my cameras. That's two intersections. Every other camera is basically Chris's cameras in it, you know, the garage, the plan here. We got several here at town hall, but the one outside is set up directly just on the box. And the way I was explaining that is when people try to say, hey, I dropped my bill off this weekend before the deadline, there's a way to verify. The other one is outside that watches the parking lot on the side building, and there's several in here. But the only two that I actually ever use is we got two now, one down by Speedway, so that whole intersection, and then the whole alleyway behind the Peace King liquor store in that area. That's basically what I consider my two cameras.
So Chris, you're having the same issues that Keith is having.
Yeah, we're all
Oh,
on
yeah,
the same,
we've had
same
issues.
setup.
Yeah, it's hit and miss.
So have you contacted him too?
Yeah, yeah.
So we have two employees that have reached out multiple times.
So where are they out of?
Richmond.
So maybe, why don't you, since they haven't responded, why don't you invite them to the March meeting so that we can have a discussion with them and the
Okay.
job performance?
Okay, it's pretty much, they, Midwest IT, they also do all the IT stuff here too, so it's kind of an all-inclusive package, but if we want to separate the cameras out, I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah, it's not a separate company.
Correct.
that does
They
cameras.
do, yeah.
I mean, they do everything associated with all of our IT.
Computer IT stuff, yeah.
The park cameras, is it my understanding?
That's
They
different.
are.
They,
Parks is different.
They are now.
They talk about, they have problems with the ones at the park too, though.
Are they running through the same company?
No, apparently not. That's what they just
the
said.
biggest problem we were told with a lot of the cameras outside of the building area was just being able to connect to the internet to run them. That was the big issue, I think, at the park. But
Any further questions for Chris?
So we're gonna request that that vendor be here. I'll just have him bring those two video clips,
Okay.
a current video clip and then the one from that day.
And Julie, what do you have?
Okay,
for
so I have
directions?
two invoices for the water project, Warner Engineering for $2,350. And then earthwork for $285,729.75 for this month.
Bob, you signed off on the earthworks bill, everything is in order, in your opinion?
Yes,
Okay.
again, that's part of this bill is paying for the generators and the pumps, which I went up there and saw, they're in their offices, in the shop, so they have that material.
Make most of the screw votes.
Properly moved and seconded to approve both the invoice for Warner Engineering LLC for $2,350 and the Earthworks invoice for $285,729.75. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next regular council meeting will be Monday, March 2nd at 6:30. Town hall will be closed on Monday, February 16th to observe President's Day. Everybody had a chance to review the claims as presented.
Move for approval.
Second.
Some properly moved and seconded to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded to be adjourned. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Guess I can keep going.
And you're all set. John, J-O-N, Madison, J-E, I-S-O,